Good morning, this is Send 7 World News in 7 minutes. I'm Stephen Devincenzi. Today is Friday the 31st of May 2024. Starting in Africa today. In South Africa, votes are still being counted from the general election on Wednesday. At the time of recording this podcast, with only 41% of votes counted, the ruling African National Congress Party has won 43% of votes, and the Democratic Alliance Party has won 24%. It appears that the ANC will lose the majority in Parliament that it has had ever since the end of apartheid in 1994, meaning that it is likely that the ANC will need to form a coalition government for the first time. The family of a Kenyan man who has died on Mount Everest have said that his body will stay on the mountain. Joshua Kirui died very close to the summit of Everest, and his Sherpa guide is missing. Kirui's family said that it was too dangerous for a rescue team to try to recover Kirui's body. A few days ago, an Indian climber became the 5th person to die trying to climb Everest this climbing season. Asia and Oceania. Israel has taken complete control of the border area between Egypt and Gaza, often known as the Philadelphia Corridor, according to the army. The Israeli military says that this was a main route for weapons used by Hamas to enter Gaza, and said that they have found over 20 tunnels filled with weapons in the area. Israel is continuing its raids in Rafah, despite many international calls to stop. Israeli military spokesman Daniel Hagari said yesterday that Israel has not smashed into Rafah, and said that any decent country would fight to get back their hostages.
Our forces have not smashed into Rafah. We have been operating according to precise intelligence, conducting targeted raids, using precise munitions, and focusing on dismantling Hamas attack capabilities in Rafah. While we operate, we are also assessing our actions, adjusting and amending our operations, and increasing our efforts to minimize civilian harm. We are operating according to plan and according to international law. Hamas is holding our hostages in living hell across our border in Gaza, including in Rafah. We will not stop fighting for their freedom. Every decent country in the world would do the same.
Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has criticized the United Nations for not taking action against Israel. Erdogan said, quote, "What are you good for, United Nations, if you cannot stop a genocide broadcast live in the 21st century?" In Hong Kong, 14 pro-democracy activists were found guilty of subversion, which means undermining the power of the state. They were convicted using a national security law that was brought in by China in 2020, which makes many things illegal, including calling for the independence of Hong Kong. The government of Papua New Guinea have said that they are not expecting to find anyone else alive 1 week after a massive landslide in the centre of the country, when part of a limestone mountain collapsed. There have been many different estimates of how many people are killed or missing from the landslide because of the rural, tribal setting and informal housing in the area. Some estimates are in the low hundreds, and one government estimate is over 2,000. America's Mexico has its presidential election on Sunday. Mexico will almost definitely elect its first ever female president, as the two leading candidates are Claudia Sheinbaum of the governing Morena party and Xochitl Galvez of the conservative PAN party. Recent polls show Sheinbaum winning around 53% of votes and Galvez winning around 35%. As well as the presidency, there will also be elections for Congress, local officials, the mayor of Mexico City, and 8 state governors. In the United States, President Joe Biden has used a rally in Philadelphia to say that former President Donald Trump is unhinged and only interested in winning for himself.
It's clear that when he lost in 2020, something literally snapped in the sky. No, I'm serious. That's why January 6th happened, when he unleashed an insurrection. Now, he's running again, and he's clearly unhinged. I've shown you who I am, and Trump has shown you who he is. And today, Donald Trump is pandering and peddling lies and stereotypes for your vote so he can win for himself, not for you.
Europe. Ukraine has been given permission from the United States to use US-made weapons to hit military targets inside Russia, but only in the part of Russia which has been used for cross-border attacks into Ukraine's Kharkiv region. The decision was made after criticism that Russia was able to prepare forces to push into Kharkiv region without Ukraine being able to hit them with US-made weapons. Most European allies of Ukraine have already given permission for their weapons to be used to hit Russian military targets in Russia. Yesterday, there were some credible reports that France may send military trainers into Ukraine, which would be the first time that a NATO member openly sends members of their military into Ukraine since Russia invaded in 2022. Spain's parliament yesterday voted to give amnesty to hundreds of Catalan separatists involved in the 2017 referendum and declaration of independence of Catalonia that were declared illegal and unconstitutional by the government of Spain. The legal records of the activists and politicians will be cancelled after a close vote of 177 against 172 who voted against granting amnesty. The Socialist Party of Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez proposed the amnesty deal in exchange for Catalan and Basque independence parties supporting his government. And in Italy, archaeologists in the ancient city of Pompeii say that they have found 2,000-year-old sketches. Archaeologists say that the drawings appear to have been made by very young children, about 6 or 7 years old, who have used charcoal to draw gladiators fighting and hunting animals. A big thank you to Bartłomiej in Poland for becoming our newest supporter. If you enjoy this podcast and would like to have access to the transcripts that we write every day and the world news quiz that I write every week, then you can become a supporter at send7.org. We give 10% of profit to highly effective charities. Have a great weekend and we will see you on Monday.